along with us on our ultra long haul flight to Africa from the United States. I know a lot of people are nervous about flying with small children for extended periods of time, but it's absolutely possible and you can absolutely do it. This trip took us a total of 48 hours, including 20 hours nonstop on a single plane. Tip number 1, find ways to get their energy out. Whenever we have layovers, we always spend time running around the airport, just to help him get his energy out before getting back on a plane for a long time. This time we had a very short layover in Washington, D.C. before boarding our 17-hour flight to Ethiopia that ended up getting weather delayed in the air and turned into 20 hours nonstop. But we were able to let him run around and play for as much as we could in D.C. before boarding our next flight. We almost always fly Ethiopian Airlines to and from Africa. This is an Ethiopian Airlines flight. On this long-haul flight, we were given dinner in the evening when we took off and breakfast the next morning when we landed. I travel with food allergies, so I always make sure I pre-request my gluten-free meal ahead of time. We also requested a child's meal for our son. However, as this flight originated in the United States and not an Ethiopian Airlines hub in Addis Ababa, they did not have any child meals available that night, so he was just offered a normal adult meal. This is my gluten-free meal I was offered on this flight. Another tip for traveling with small children, especially on overnight flights, is to bring everything you would need for them to go to bed the same way that they would at home. So bring their pajamas, their toothbrushes, their stories, their stuffies, whatever they would use for their normal bedtime routine, do it on the plane. We always do this with our son, and then we put him in his seat and put him to bed just like we would at home, and he usually sleeps very well. As you can see, he slept all night and into the next morning on this very long flight. This is my gluten-free breakfast I had the next morning: eggs, beans, a bread roll, and some fruit. If you're bringing a tablet or a device for your child to watch on your flight, make sure to pre-download their favorite shows. While Wi-Fi is becoming more common, it was not available on this flight, so we downloaded many movies before leaving home. We also brought his headphones so he could listen comfortably for his own ears instead of the uncomfortable airline headphones that they offer. We landed in a wet and rainy Ethiopia and had to take the shuttle bus from our plane into the terminal. At this point, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning Ethiopian time, and we've been traveling for over 24 hours. When traveling with small children, I always recommend taking a travel-friendly stroller. This one is very light and is made to fit in the overhead bin of the airplane, so we never have to gate check it. It means we have it immediately upon debarking, so even for these late night layovers, he can curl up and take a nap. If your layover is over 8 hours, Ethiopian Airlines gives you a complimentary hotel room. Because our layover was almost 13 hours, we were able to go back to the room and take a break and get some sleep that night before getting on our next flight in the morning. If you're taking advantage of the Ethiopian Airlines complimentary hotel room, make sure while you are on the plane that you are given a hotel voucher for each person in your party. We were only given one voucher for my husband and had not realized that we needed one for each of us. So my husband went through the immigration line and my son and I had to go wait in a separate line to find another hotel voucher. It was a stressful situation at 1 o'clock in the morning, so make sure you deal with it on the plane because they will be able to help you out quicker. We were assigned a room at the Ethiopian Airlines branded hotel, the Skylight Hotel. However, Ethiopian Airlines partners with many hotels in Addis Ababa, so you may have a different one on your stopover. Hotel rooms overseas are often smaller than what we would expect in the US, and young children are often expected to sleep in your bed with you and are not offered a separate bed. This was the case in our hotel in Ethiopia, so we were able to push 2 chairs together for him to sleep on. Often, we have taken blankets or asked for extra blankets from the front desk and rolled them up and put them on the floor to make him a separate bed if we're not in the mood for co-sleeping. After a few hours of rest, we packed up our bags and headed back to the airport to pick up our last and final flight of this trip. We had several checked bags with us, but thankfully they were checked all the way through the night before, so we only had carried our hand luggage with us to the hotel. Since this flight originated in Ethiopian Airlines hub in Addis Ababa, we were given a small bag of toys for our son when we boarded the plane. He was also offered a kid's meal on this flight, which had chicken nuggets, and he was very excited about not having adult plane food this time around. After 48 hours of travel, including one 20-hour nonstop flight and a night in Ethiopia, we finally made it to our destination with all of our checked luggage. I hope this video has encouraged you that you can take small kids on super long flights. You can fly across the world with your young children and have amazing adventures along the way. So go out there and explore and give them the adventure of a lifetime.